Hey, what's up, guys? Okay, so I'm gonna plan on this one being more of a beginner's guide tutorial because this character is actually really simple when I cut him up. So you can see that the list of parts is actually like insanely small. Mostly because a lot of this is like metal and they're really huge pieces like the shield and then the helmet. So I'm gonna treat this like a tutorial since I'm planning on this character being done super quick. And a lot of people in the community actually bought spines, so I think it'd be nice if I give some pointers. Okay, what's up, Norienga and Dedexi? Okay, so let me try to understand my workflow so I can give a proper tutorial on this. Okay, so on the mouse, if you right click and hold it, that's how you move around the screen. So you can zoom in and then move around. And zooming in is the scroll wheel. So you can zoom in and then move this around. And then so I don't actually use hotkeys for this. I don't know if there actually are hotkeys, but so this is for selecting the individual pieces, like so, and then you use these to move it around. So this is rotate, and then translate, and then scale. And you can use these things to move it a specific direction without affecting the other direction. So this is the y coordinate. I can move it only on the y coordinate and on the x coordinate, and the same thing the other way around. So I can move it on the x coordinate but not the y coordinate. And then same with the scale. So I could scale it this way or this way. There's no diagonal scaling though. You have to put in the numbers yourself if you want to have like a diagonal scaling. We'll get into weights once I get to that, and then we can get into bones now. So one of the other controls you want to know is Control Z, and then Control S for saving. I think that's the only two that I really need right now. Oh, that's awesome. Are you recording this then? Yeah, I'm gonna record this and put it on YouTube. I'm probably actually gonna put it on YouTube tomorrow because I have stuff planned for tonight, and I don't think I'll be able to upload it tonight. So let's get into bones because that's the most important one. So I'll talk about bones in general and then bones for Darkest Dungeon modding because there's specific bones that you need for Darkest Dungeon modding. Actually, I guess we could go through here, the hierarchy. So so you'll notice there's 3 of these. That's because I have references. So this is a reference to the cultist lady that I did the second stream, and then this is the brawler, but I don't have the actual parts for the brawler. So everything appears as missing. So let's go to the hierarchy. So the hierarchy has a name, and you can change the name whenever you want. Each hierarchy has to have its own separate name. I guess these are referred to as skeletons actually. So each skeleton has to have its own unique name. And for Darkest Dungeon, this name always has to be whatever the name of the monster or hero is. So in this case, it's cultist underscore Gloryseeker, and then .sprite.combat in this case because this is the combat animation. But if you're doing a hero and you're trying to do the idle animation, then this is usually hero's name .sprite.idle, or if it's a walk animation, then it's hero name .sprite.walk. I think it's what it's called. So every single animation has a name like this, which is like the hero's name or enemy name plus .sprite then whatever it is. Usually combat, or if it's an attack, the attack has its own special name, which could be like attack underscore stab or attack underscore range, something like that. This is the root bone. Every skeleton has a root bone, and this is just the coordinate. This is usually the coordinate where it's at in position at the origin. The origin is 0, 0, so this is where the root bone usually is. And Darkest Dungeon actually doesn't use the root bone. It uses 0, 0 as the base coordinate. So you could actually have the root bone over here, and in game it will render the character 168.2 points this way in the game. And then connected to the root is everything. So all the parts are connected, and they're connected via slots. And in the slots they have their own images. This Darkest Dungeon usually doesn't use this, but you could have multiple images in the same slot, and then the slot could switch in between those 2 images. So if this helmet had like, if you could like take this helmet off on the character, you could have 2 images in here, one with the helmet and one without the helmet. But Usually Darkest Dungeon doesn't use that, so we don't have to worry about that for this in this case. And then there's 4 bones that you have to worry about for the characters. So effects skill, this is just where the root bone is, so it's just 0, 0. And then effects head, wherever the character's head is. This is for stuff like when they're stunned or they're surprised, the halo that appears to show that they're stunned. That's where it's rendered, is over here. So if I were to put this over here on the arm, then when he becomes stunned, the stun icon would appear at his arm. And then there's also like a few things that use effects head. So sometimes when you attack a hero, then they have an effects head. They have like an effect that appears at the head. Like when the Crusader stuns a character, there's like a stun effect that happens at the head. This is where it would happen, is at the effects head rather than effects chest, where most of the things happen. And then yeah, this is just effects chest. This is usually used for when you get attacked. Most attacks hit at effects chest rather than effects head. And then effects dot is the other one. Effects dot is usually at the chest as well, but the difference between effects dot and effects head, or effects chest, is that effects dot actually moves with the animation. These 3 points here don't move at all while the character's animating. Thanks E5 for the host. Okay, and yeah, so effects dot's only used by one character currently in the game, and that's the Countess for the Crimson Court, and that's when she puts the eggs on you. So when she puts the egg on you, it goes at wherever effects dot is, and it moves with effects dot. And because the egg itself appears on the character, it would be kind of weird if the character was moving and the egg wasn't moving in the same motion as that character, which is why effects dot is attached to the character's skeleton, and it moves with the character as he's animating, which I'll demonstrate later. What's up, Claire? So that should be everything right now for bones, and then the next one is draw order. So draw order is pretty simple to understand. Basically, from top to bottom is how you see the things as they're rendered. So the top appears in front of everything that's below it. So the shield appears in front of everything here, and then the thing at the very bottom appears behind everything. So the shadow appears behind everything, which is all of this character. That way when when we're animating the character, the shadow doesn't overlap with his foot. Like if I put this on the very top, then you can see that the shadow's now overlapping on his foot. But if I put that back on the very bottom, then it doesn't do that anymore. And then everything in between is the exact same. So the skirt's rendered in front of the leg right and leg left. Belt's rendered in front of torso, rope tassel, etc. And usually you don't have to worry about this too much unless you're manually bringing all the parts into spine. But it's nice to know, and I believe I haven't done it before. Actually, but I'm pretty sure you can actually animate the draw order in spine. So you can move this draw order around in spine, and it'll put points down. So it actually does that. Okay. So you can animate with draw order as well, but I usually never do that because characters usually never need to have that happen. But in a scenario where you would want it to happen, imagine this guy had like an orbit like a planet, so he had like asteroids or something flying around him like a belt, like Saturn's belt. Then you would want that asteroid to draw in front when it goes near here, and then when it goes behind him, then you want it to draw behind the body. That's probably a time you would use draw order, but I've never come across a character where I need an animation like that. And then images, so this is all of the images for the character. So this is you have to have a specific path for it to go to. So in this case, I have it going to /cultist Gloryseeker combat /, and that's a folder in relation to it. So if I were to go to browse, it does it in relation to the animation. So the animation is in this folder right here. So when I go to the path, it goes here, and this is where all the parts are, and then I select it, and then it would load all of the parts from there. So that's that's usually how I do skins for heroes, is I have a folder, and then I just change the color of all the pieces in there, and then go into this, and then since all the images are changed, they're gonna render on the character immediately. And it's cool but weird at the same time. I usually never use it, but you can do this real time. So if I were to go into the folder and take the belt and replace it with another belt, then it would render in the program. You don't have to restart it or anything. It should just render in the program. But I usually never use that. And then I never use skins for Darkest Dungeon mods. As far as I know, they don't use them either, so I don't know anything about those. Events are used by one thing in the game so far, and that's walking. So every time they step, they call an event called step, and I believe that means I believe that has to do with the sound effect that happens when you're walking. So when you're walking with the heroes, you'll notice that there's a sound effect that goes with them. And I'm assuming that the step event is what triggers that sound effect. So every time the character's foot lands on the ground, the step sound effect plays. I'm pretty sure that's what it does, but I'm not 100% sure because I never actually tested it. And then this is for IKs. I don't think I'll have an IK in this animation, but IKs are super useful for things like this, like the whip. So when the whip's moving up and down, rather than animate everything individually, which would actually be like a huge pain, IKs are a good way of saving time on animation. So you'll notice that as I move it around, the bones bend by themselves based on where these IK points are, and the IK points are animatable too. So you can like select the IK points and then move those around, and then it'll affect the animation. Sometimes it can be a headache if you have something complicated like this whip. Usually they actually save a lot of time. I think the best character to represent it on is the Hellion, where the Hellion's holding her halberd with two hands. So when the halberd's bouncing up and down, rather than animate the arm to move alongside the halberd, which could lead to some problems once you get to offsetting, they have it IK'd to the halberd so that the arm always follows the halberd's movement without you actually having to do anything. So it ends up saving a lot more time. Let's see. Nightbot hit you, Dr. Strachan. Sorry about that, but welcome to the stream. Are you making a new enemy or hero? I'm making a enemy. I'm making multiple enemies actually. This is like the 5th stream so far. This is one of the characters that we animated before, and I'm gonna be animating this character next to him because these two enemies are part of the same faction, so I want to make sure they look cool together. He's awesome. Thanks, dude. And the new area, yeah. So these are really important too. So this is tags. This shows you the name of all the bones on the character, which I never use because it ends up slowing down the program and you never actually need to see all the bones on your character. But that's there if you ever need to for some reason. This is to see the bones. You can actually still click on the bones if you know where they are. But this is super useful if you want to just see the animation itself. Factions do tell. I'll talk about it later. Right now I'm just talking about the basics for spine for people who don't know the program. I never use bounds. I'm actually not sure what bounds are because I never use them. This right here is really important. So clicking this means I can never click on the images ever again. Or clicking this means I can never click on the bones ever again. But usually I only have the images turned off because I never want to click on the images when I'm animating. I only want to click on the bones, the controls for the character. But usually I have those on when I'm in setup mode. Speaking of which, so there's 2 modes to spine. There's animation and setup mode. So animating is where you actually do the animation for the character, where you're moving the bones around and moving the character around as such. We'll get into that when I get to that phase of the animation. And then setup is where you set up all the bones and the meshes and stuff, which is really important early because you want to be able to set up a good basis of controls for your character. So when you animate them, it's not so difficult that it's not so difficult that you can't make a good decent animation out of it, but it's also enough that you can make a really good animation. Cultists, harpies, and abyssals. Cultists are self-explanatory. Harpies are ladies that are cannibalistic and turn into birds. Abyssals are a bunch of crabs and shrimp-like monsters. Yeah, that's a good rundown of it. I think that's everything. Okay, so animations is another really important one. So the animation name really matters in Darkest Dungeon. That's how it knows what animation to call. And if you actually have this misnamed, then it won't even reference it won't even reference this file at all. So in this case, because it's the combat file, this has to be named combat. Usually it's the same name as this the third one up here for the naming convention. So if this was like the idle, then this would probably be idle, and if it was walk, then this would be walk. In some cases, a character will have multiple animations. So like a lot of the Crimson Court monsters have 2 animations. They have like a like their normal mode, and then they have like their super mode where they turn into like a giant mosquito monster and they gain a bunch of new attacks. That's where this comes in handy. That usually means that you have, instead of combat, it has to be like combat underscore human is usually what it is. And then they have a second animation called combat underscore beast, and that refers to the mode it can change into. So a lot of the Crimson Court monsters have modes, and they start at default in human mode, so that means they'll use the human animation at first, but then they'll turn to beast mode, and beast mode uses combat beast instead, combat underscore beast. That's how I did the Lamia. The Lamia has two animations, combat underscore human and combat underscore beast. Okay, so I think that's everything in terms of the regular layout for now. We'll get into weights once I get into meshes. Some of these down here, this is a rename. You can, let's see. You can rename it by double clicking, or you could click this rename down here if you want to rename it. This is pretty important if you're doing the bones. I mean, it's technically, you don't have to rename the bones, but it's nice for organization, especially if you have a super complicated character mesh, or a character skeleton. Then you want to make sure that you know where all the bones are and what you're referring to, and you're not screwing up your animation because you don't know what bones you're clicking on. And then this is delete, so if you ever run into a problem, you can delete it. I'm pretty sure you can hit the actual delete button on the keyboard to delete it. And this is duplicate. I usually use this for the chest, so rather than make a completely separate bone and then type in the coordinates separately, I just hit duplicate and rename it. So if I were to duplicate this, it becomes effects chest 2, and I would rename it to effects dot, but I've already done that. I hope it's okay, but I made a bunch of fan-made Magic the Gathering cards with your hero classes. I love them. Here's a link. Or not. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, it won't allow links. But yeah, that's cool. That's cool, dude. I'm completely fine with people making like anything with my mods, as long as it's not like offensive or anything. Okay, so I think that's a good rundown of the basics. Let's get into the bones. So to create bones, you use this right here, and there's two ways you can create bones. The first one is you just click, and then it'll create just a straight up standard bone. So in this case, I'm going to make that the hip. So that's hip, and I'll rename that to hips. And then the second type of bone you can make is if you click and drag, and if you click and drag, it'll create like an actual bone, like a straight line. So if I were to do this as the thigh, so here's the thigh, then it create a straight bone. And it's important to know that when you create bones, they can be attached to other bones as children. So these become parent bones, and what that means is that when this bone moves around, all of its children bones move with it. So if I were to move this around because this bone is attached as a child, it'll move with it. And if I were to rotate this bone, then this bone would rotate in relation to this bone, in relation to its parent bone as well. So let's rename this to thigh left, or thigh right. Okay, so keeping that in mind, so when you're creating bones, it'll always, if you don't click anywhere else when you're creating bones, it'll always create its next bone based on the last bone that was created. That will become the parent. So if I were to create this bone and then immediately create another bone, that becomes a child to the bone I just created. But I don't need that right now, so I'm not going to do that. This was actually misnamed. Let me change that. So this is thigh left. So for example, if I were to go back to the hips, and now I'm gonna work on the spine. So here's the lower spine, and then without clicking anywhere else, I can create the next piece of the spine, which I would probably put right there, and then the neck, and then the head. So this becomes the parent of this one, who becomes the parent of that one, and so on. And you can see over here as well in the order, it actually indents it, so it's easier to read which ones are children's to which ones. And then, say I wanted to create the next bone to be a child of this one, then I just click on it, and then I can create that. I can create that next bone, and it'll automatically become the child of the bone I just clicked, and then I can just go back and do it again for this side, and so on. How do I want to do this? I think I'll create it over here, actually. Actually, no. Create right here. Okay. This is me keeping in mind that the arm's actually shaped like this. Like, he's not holding it like how you would think you would hold a shield. He's actually holding it with his arm pointed down. Because that's actually how you hold these shields. So that's a good breakdown of how skeleton creation is in Spine. And now I'm gonna go back and name all of these. Lots of modders hanging out there at Rain Cloud. Yeah, E5 stream. Yeah, that's like the modder hub for Darkest Dungeon right now. I'm pretty sure when Color of Madness comes out, there'll be a lot more streamers though. Right now it's pretty barren. So this is the neck, and that's the head. I think that's yeah, that's a good breakdown of the skeleton, but just the creation process. Once you get used to creating skeletons, it becomes super simple. Yeah, it's pretty simple, unless you're doing like a really complicated character. But this isn't a complicated character, so we should be fine. This is the left side. Okay, so then we create the arm, and I think I'm gonna have this this elbow piece connected here on this as its parent, and then I think I'm gonna have the clavicle be the parent of this this one right here. I think I'll have it like that. Okay. So I think I'll have the belt connected here as its parent as well. So something like that, and then this would move on its own. I'll actually have this be 2 because I want it to bend. So that's the buckle. Belt 1 and belt 2. And I'm sorry if this is pretty complicated. I went pretty fast on a lot of the stuff that we're going to be using 90% of the time, but feel free to ask any questions, and then you can always refer back to the VOD once I upload it tomorrow. This is the humerus. It's just important. This is the phase where you're creating the controls, and you have to be able to understand your controls. Otherwise, there's no point in there's no point in doing this process if you're not gonna be able to use them. This is the elbow. This blade sounds like raw damage. Oh, this one right here. Yeah, it's raw damage and a bleed. He's in the title. I put Cultist Brawler Plus because he's literally Cultist Brawler Plus. I think he's actually strictly better than the Brawler. What is this? The shoulder? Hold on, let me just check something real quick. Okay, there. Kinda does. Yeah. I don't want to create a bone. Okay, so that should be everything for now. So this hip piece right here. I think the Cultist Brawler has 2 moves. He has the normal stab and then his weak stab when he's in the back. This guy has 3 moves. He has his stab attack, which is just a straight up, it's a bleed plus damage, and then he gives himself an accuracy buff. He has a shield, and he doesn't guard anyone because there's actually 2 other Cultist guarders, so I didn't want to add a 3rd one. This guy actually uses Aegis, so when on turn 1 he'll use the Aegis, and then he'll never use it again. That way he doesn't screw people over on like round 3 when everyone's dead and he's the only one left, and the stall timer is ticking, and you can't actually kill him because he has an Aegis off. I don't want that to happen, so he only uses Aegis once, and that's on turn 1. And then if he's in the very back, he does a charge. He like charges with the shield, and he does a whole bunch of damage, and then knocks people back. So it's actually bad to have him in the back. But he's slow enough that the only reason he'd ever be in the back is because you put him, like, you use the move skill that actually moved him to the back. That's the only reason he'd ever be back there. He doesn't actually go back there himself. He's like the thrall. Will the cultist brawlers spawn alongside him? Yeah, they will. The cultist brawlers became the rabble of the dungeon, you know, like the weak dude. That's who they are. But I think cultist brawlers aren't so weak that they're easy to stall on, so I think it's okay that they're like the little dudes. Top 10 darkest hero mods, and of course I had to put one of your characters on the list because of how goddamn amazing your characters are. Thanks, dude. I'm really honored. It always gets to me when people tell me how great my mods are. I don't know why. It still hasn't really hit me that the Falconers had like a lot of subscribers. It's like 56,000 the last time I checked. That's pretty insane. I think I'm actually gonna have this be an IK. So we would have 1, 2, and then this point, and then this would be the IK. So let's do that. Okay, so if you hold down Control and you click on multiple bones, that's how you select multiple bones without actually doing this. So if you hold down left click and then not rotate your character, so let's turn that off. If you hold down left click, then you create like the box like in StarCraft when you're selecting units. Whatever bone you touch with this, you can select. So I selected these 2 bones, but maybe I wanted to select all of these. Or you could click on a bone and then hold down Control and click another one, left click, and then that allows you to select multiple bones. So if I wanted to select this one and then say the shield, with us selecting all the stuff in the middle, that's how I would do it. But you gotta be careful with this, because if you actually click away from all the bones, it deselects all of them. And as far as I know, there's no way to actually undo deselecting all of them. And then, so I guess this is the way I would introduce IK. So then you go down here to Constraints and then create a new IK. And then you create the point where you want the IK to be, which would be right here in this case. And that would be rope IK. And then it would make it it would make the IK. And then when I move this, you can see that the rope now moves with it. But I actually messed up the bones. These bones need to be a lot longer. So I'm gonna redo them. So you can delete bones now. So if you hit the delete button on the keyboard, you can delete it and it'll give you a prompt to say if you want to confirm it, because when you do that you can't undelete. So I'm gonna have it slightly longer. And now I'm gonna make the IK again. Rope IK right. That's still okay though. I like that. That's fine. So let's create the other side. So it would be something like that. And I'll have both of these connected to its own bone, so I would move a bone that these are children to, and that would move both of them at the same time, and I could have this rope move around in a pretty cool cool fashion. Let's create right there. So this is rope IK left. Okay, and then I create a parent that's not going to be parented to the hips, it's going to be parented to root, because I want this to move by itself. So this would be rope. I'll just call it rope. And then I would select both of these. And connect it to the thing. Oh, it's right there, okay. So yeah, they create their own bones, so I gotta connect those to rope. So now if I move this one, it moves both of them at the same time, and I can have this thing move. Oh, crap. I forgot to select this one when I was doing the IK for this. So let's undo that. Okay, so let me make sure to select both of them this time. Rope IK. Okay, so they're both selected, and I just gotta make sure to put that bone in with this one. So now if I move this, the rope moves with it. I'm just trying to think of how I'd actually have it move. Because now I'm thinking the problem that's actually going to happen is because it's IK'd and it's moving like this, it actually look kind of, it would actually look a lot more funny. Yeah, I think I'm not going to have the IK, but at least I gave a decent tutorial on how to do IKs. What's up, Dark Raven? How you doing? Your mods fit the game and are high quality, and you deserve to be paid for that stuff, in my opinion. Thanks, dude. That's great. That's great to hear. What is this new dungeon? It's I always refer to it as Cove Plus because that's pretty much what it is. It's like a harder version. It's like a upgraded version of the Cove. Where would I want this? I'm actually gonna parent now that I decided to scrap the IK. I'm gonna parent it to this bone, which is all the way up there. Okay. I'm actually gonna make these 3 bones. Yeah. Let's just undo that. Yeah, you could think of it as Cove, the Cove Plus. So it's like a, hold on. It's like a sunken city. So you go to the sunken city and you fight all of its inhabitants. Okay, so let's rename this. This is the, call this rope right 1. I think we're actually almost done with the skeleton anyway because this character is so simple. Simple character. I think I'm gonna make a lot of the. I'm trying to get a lot of the simple character animations out of the way because they're easy, and I feel like they'll be good reference points for a lot of people. But I know that that crab dude, the crab dude that I'll be animating in a few weeks, that guy's pretty complicated because he has a lot of moving parts on him. And then next week's gonna be a lot of meshes, so that might take up a lot of time. That's already named. Okay, so everything should be named properly. Okay, and then connected to this bone, I'll have the tassels. And yeah, I'll have these be 4 bones. Okay, so this is tassel right 1. Are you doing new backgrounds for the dungeon? Yeah, I am. Backgrounds are hard for me because I'm not really an environment artist, so that type of stuff doesn't come naturally to me, but it's a cool learning process and I'm enjoying making them. It's gonna take me a lot longer to do those compared to doing characters. Whoops. Whoops again. Let's see, it's 2:38. So we're behind schedule, but that's mostly because of the tutorial. So that should be fine. And plus, I don't expect this character to be too complicated. This is probably the most complicated part, is trying to animate his skirt thing here. So I think I'm gonna start doing the feet though, because the feet are simple. So the foot, and then the rest of the leg, and the same over here. So let's name those. There we go. Cool. I love his shield. Thanks, dude. Oh, a sharp thing in a riot shield. Yeah, that's this guy's equipment. He's the cultist Gloryseeker, as you can see up here. He's a tough dude. I'm trying to think how I want to animate this now. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have these still connected to the main body. So let's do that. There's a lot of hanging. There's a lot of like hanging cloth bits here, so I gotta be careful with my bones. Because I don't want this to be too ridiculous. I gotta worry about that too. I'll probably end up actually changing this one's color because it's so close to the rope. And then sure, let's have one over here. That should be it. So let's change this one's color. So you can change the color of your bones using this. Let's change it to a red. And there's almost no point in doing this other than organization. So if you have a big clutter of bones like this, then usually you want to change color so you know which bone structure is which bone structure. In this case, since this is the cloth and this is the rope, I want to make sure that when I'm animating, I know which one's separate, because these are probably going to be moving and intersecting with each other a lot. So this will help me stay organized. Okay, let's go name all of these. And then I think that's actually the whole bone structure, and then we can get into meshes, and there's only really 4 meshes, 5 meshes, 6 meshes. Actually, this is a mesh too. So it's not that much work though, so this should be easy. Okay, I gotta name this one. And this one. And then that'll be all the bones, and we could get into meshes and how to use meshes. Because meshes are honestly like the best part about Spine. That's the whole reason why you buy the $300 version over the $70 version, is because you can use meshes. And just so you know, I'm not like the king of meshes. Like, I don't know how to use meshes to its full extent because I've never really pushed my animations past anything for Darkest Dungeon. But just know that meshes is like to make like super amazing animations that look 3D. That's how you do it, is using meshes. But we'll just do simple meshes because that's usually how Darkest Dungeon does it. Okay, that should be everything. Okay, so I'll just connect all of these to the things. So just like bones being parented to bones, you can parent slots to bones, and that way when you move the bone, the pieces that you connected it to move with it. So we'll connect all of these to the hips, wherever that is, except for the feet, which I need to find. Here they are. Connect the corresponding feet, and connect these where they need to. shield. I actually think I'm gonna make this I'm gonna make the full arm here. So weird. What the heck? That was weird. This is the humerus. And I'm gonna parent that to that. Just move it over. So yeah, see, so since the shield slot is now parented to this, the bone, and the bone is parented to this, so when I move this, it moves both of them at the same time. And if I were to move this individually, then it would move only the shield. Let's see. Meshes are so amazing. Yeah, they are. Will there be 3 main bosses like the vanilla dungeons, and also will these guys have a chance to show up in vanilla dungeons? Now they'll only appear in their own dungeon, and there are three bosses for it. So what's this class about? Oh, it's not a class, it's an enemy. Cultist Gloryseeker, as you can see up here. Seems unlikely, but do you think you'll make comments about this new dungeon? No, I'll probably do no comics, but I'll do a lot of like splash art stuff, and then I'll have like journal pages that only spawn in that dungeon, so you could go read like little bits of lore about the place. Okay, what was I doing? That's right, I was connecting these. So torso's gonna connect to. I think I'm gonna keep it connected to the hip because I'm gonna mesh it to all of these different parts anyway. Same there. Let's move these tassels down. Wherever tassels were, here they are. Connect the two hip cloth. Wherever that went. And I'll connect this to this side of the rope. Okay, where's the arm? Here it is. Okay, I didn't make that bone. Okay, there, so that's everything connected. So if I were to move a lot of these bones, you can see that now it moves the parts they're connected to. Cool. Yep. Okay, and now we gotta go and do the meshes for this. Let me save, because I always forget to save. You should make it a habit to save every like half an hour at least, but I suck at that. So usually I save every few hours, which is really bad because sometimes this program can crash, and when it crashes, it doesn't save the progress. It doesn't even have like a recovery, recovery anything. So you gotta make sure that you save your progress. Hey Marvin, do you have a name for your next mod? I suppose that is an enemy. Yeah, this is an enemy for the mod. The mod's called the Sunken City, I think is what I actually have it called as. What's up, Cogfog? By the way, Marvin, any plans to animate one of the mini bosses on this stream? Maybe. The mini bosses are pretty complicated, so most of them I'll probably have to do off stream because those are like multi-day animations I gotta do. But some of them are not super complicated. They just take forever to animate because there's so many parts to them. But maybe it'll depend. Okay, yeah, so let's get to that meshing. Let's get this torso part out of the way. Let me just find it. Here it is. Okay, so you can here's like the big part. I never use background. I know Darkest Dungeon never uses this, so I don't know anything about it. Path is where it finds the piece of the image. So if I were to type in something like if I were to type in shield, then this would become the shield suddenly. So now he has a shield as a body, but obviously I don't want that, so I want the torso. So it needs to go find torso instead. And alternatively, if there were more folders in this, I could put in like folder name and then slash and then torso, and then it would go to that folder to find the torso in there. But I'm not doing that. I just want this image. But if you ever wanted to change the image for some reason, then you could actually change it here. And the nice thing about spine is because you could change the images in the and nothing would change for the animation. You can actually, if you find like a problem in your art for the pieces, then you can change it in whatever program you use, which is usually Photoshop for me. You could change it, export it, and then bring it back in here, and then drop it in, and you can see the changed version on the model, which is really nice. You don't have to like remake the whole animation if one piece of the art is all messed up. And then color, this actually changes the color of the piece as well. So you could hue your character's color, or you can make them transparent. This is animatable. You can animate this in the animate phase of the program. So if I wanted him to, for whatever reason, start strobing out and turning into different colors, then I could do that. Or if I wanted him to fade in and out like a ghost, then I can do that as well. I can animate that, or I could just do it over here. Another thing to note is that all the changes you make in setup automatically apply to animation. So if I were to move this head all the way up here, then when I animate him, his head's going to be over here. And the reason why this is important is because if I were to do something like, say, animate his head right now in this side of the program, so I have his head do this. So when he animates, his head just bobs up and down. Then when I go in here and I change that, then when I animate it, it keeps all the changes from setup and also still does the animation for the thing. So if for some reason you have like a this is usually what I do for things like multiple modes, because when you're doing multiple modes for a character, like different forms, all the bones still have to be attached to the same part. Like they still have to have all the bones on one skeleton for you to be able to animate like that. So when you have two forms for a character, that usually means you make two separate skeletons for them, like two separate skeleton structures. And that means that when in game, when you actually set it up for in game, they have to overlap each other, and that means the skeletons are on top of each other. So what I do usually is I go in here and I make sure that they're on its own little points. So they're like, I create another point at the root bone called like human or something. Attach all the human bones to that, and then when I'm animating the beast, I move all of those bones over and animate the beast mode. And that way, when I'm over here animating, I don't have to worry about the human mesh overlapping on the beast mesh, or the bones like intersecting and just making everything really messy. But in this case, we'd probably never use that. But it's something to keep in mind when you're doing really complicated things like characters with multiple forms. Okay, and this is the option we need, is mesh. So you mesh it. I don't know what freeze does. I don't know what set parent does. I know reset just changes the mesh back to normal. And then edit is the one to go to. So this is the mesh editing stuff for spine. I never used these three actually. I don't know if I don't think generate's ever worth it, because it would probably make something really messy. But create just says what it does. It creates these points, and these are the points you use for meshes to allow it to deform and bend and stuff, so you can make the character look like he's breathing or bending over and stuff like that. So I'm going to do that real quick because we need that. Okay, there we go. Let me think here. So I want this neck to move as well. And sure, let's have these move as well. And here too. Okay, so I just create a whole bunch of points, and usually how I decide where to put the points is it's kind of hard for me to explain. Think of it like a 3D shape. So these are this would technically be its own shape. This side of his pec. So I try to make points around that to make up for that. And then same with this neck piece is its own shape. So I try to put points around that, and I put another layer of points because I might want to have this deform a little bit if he like breathes or his neck moves or something like that. That's usually how I keep it in mind, if that makes any sense. Just I don't know. I try to think of this with a 3D mindset rather than a 2D one. And then deletes. What it does, it just deletes points. Whatever point you click, it deletes. So I usually use that to delete these outer points because those are ones I don't need at all. And modify allows you to move points around. So you do stuff like this. So say you put a point a little too far over here, then you could use it to move it back into place. Okay, and then when you're done, you just hit edit again, and then you can see that it's now meshed. If you were to mouse over it, you can see all of the mesh points, because normally it would just not have a mesh. And then when you click on it, this is pretty important. So you hit bind, and then you click whatever bones you wanted to bind to. So in this case, I probably wanted to connect to hip, spine lower, spine upper, neck, both the clavicles, and I think that's it. Did I even click? I forgot to click one of the clavicles. And I think I wanted to have it connected to the arms, because when the arms move, I want these to also have some movement. Yeah, sure, let's do it. And you hit bind, and it doesn't auto-calculate for it. Sometimes it calculates, sometimes it doesn't. If you have a super complicated mesh, you usually don't want it to auto-calculate because it really screws it up, which might actually happen. I think it actually did, so that might not be good. And then there's 3 options up here. I always click overlay because overlay allows you to see the control of each bone based on its color. So you can see by this color, you can see that this bone's color is controlling an interesting part of the mesh here. It's controlling a lot of the stuff around it, which makes sense, and it's controlling a lot of this part up here. And then you can see that this bone is controlling a lot of this, but it's also having a lot of its power on this side is being taken by this bone. And this is usually my go-to on how I do meshes. Is I try to make sure that all of the colors blend equally into each other, or as much as possible. Try to have them like blend. That way, so I don't want anything super ridiculous. Like I don't want this type of stuff where it's like this has full control, so it's causing a lot of this these like spikes to appear in the gradient. So once you have all of that set up, you go to weights, and then you can grab any point. You click on a bone, and then you grab any point, and going up adds control, and going down removes control. And that's how I do the meshes. That's all I have to do. I never use this type of stuff up here. Sometimes because it does like an auto calculate, and it adds like really tiny controls like this type of stuff, so you can see that this bone has a little bit of control with that little red sliver. Usually what I do is I just delete all of it by removing it, by clicking on this bone and giving it full control. And that just makes it so that now, since this is 100%, no other bone is controlling it, and then I can go back and start adding control from bones that I actually wanted to have control in. But not in this case. So now I'm going to do the mesh. I'm probably just gonna go in and add a whole bunch of control to a bunch of these bones. This one actually needs less control. Beast mode, indeed. Hopefully that was a okay explanation. I don't know how much this bone actually matters because a lot of it's hidden behind this this shield, but we'll see. See what time is it? It's almost 3. That's fine. This one and then this mesh down here, the skirt, is the most complicated stuff we're going to be doing on this character, mesh-wise. Everything else is super simple. Okay, there we go. It's probably gonna look really ugly when we test it, but that's fine. Yeah, that's pretty ugly. But we can fix it. So this needs more control over here. Okay, and then this one is control over here as well. Over here as well, I think. So usually when I'm working on meshes, I usually start with just putting in like a rough idea of where I want all of the control to be, and then I start working from the parent bone down. So in this case, this is the parent bone to everything. So I work here first to make sure that when I'm doing this type of bend, everything's okay, which it kind of is. And then after I have a good idea there, then I start going upwards and messing around here. Because I guess a good way to think of it is if the parents' controls are all okay, then the children controls become a lot easier to manage, because you don't have to worry about if this were to bend and it pulls a whole bunch of stuff. Like if you work at the child first and you refine the child, then it might actually end up being that this is actually really messed up and it needs to take control away from the child, and it just causes like some redundancy during work. So let me see if this was okay again. This will probably be fine because all of this is black, so the player will almost never notice it. Okay, so I want more control for this part here. And here's one. Okay. Actually, probably want this to have less control again. think I'll just remove control completely. Okay. And yeah, and then meshing is just like a big balancing thing. You're just trying to find the right amount of control for every single bone that you added. And that's it. Cool. I could use some fixes. Yeah, I could use a lot of fixes actually. Okay. And then this needs to control a lot less. So where would that control go? It'd probably go here. Or no, it'd go here. Okay, let's see. There's a control here. Let's remove that. Let's see. That should be good. Cool. I think I'm fine with that. It's kind of hard for me to tell the difference. These colors are really close to each other for my eyes. Brightness wise. Okay, let's see. Let's go moving this, which I actually don't want. Cool. I just have to make sure that this is never seen, which would probably be the case because I don't think I want the shield to move this much anyways. Actually, I don't want control here at all. I don't think that one will matter as much. Okay, and then I don't like that as control here. Let's remove that. So what's the lore behind those brass cultists in the city? So hold on, give me a second. So the idea is there's like some ancient evil in the city, and the cultists believe that by fighting they can awaken it, and they believe that the greatest fighter gets to become gets to ascend to like godhood along with said evil. So a lot of the cultists became they like gathered at the place and they became gladiator warriors, and they're like fighting with a lot of the other things in there, like the harpies and the abyssal creatures, and they're like building themselves up and becoming like a bunch of like super buff, super strong warriors, which kind of ties into the fact that it ties into the dungeon being a lot harder than a lot of the other dungeons, and then it's a way to introduce human characters into the dungeon, because one of the things I want to try to do is make it so that there's a good representation of each subtype of monster. So there's eldritch, there's unholy, there's beast, and there's humans. And this is primarily the human faction. So this is like an example of one of the cultists. This is, if you actually see him in game compared to the cultist brawler, this guy's super beefy. Like he's buffed up. He's the buffed up brawler. Like you can see the size comparison. This guy's actually quite a bit bigger than a lot of the other characters. Like he's really muscular, and it's reflected in his gameplay because he hits really hard too. I've had her whip this character, and then this character would crit for a 26 bleed, which is insane. That's like you know, like that's the type of stuff that one shots you. But I don't think it's an unfair one shot, because this character goes first and whips him, so you know that this guy's about to hit really hard, and he does hit really hard because he hit for a 26 crit bleed. So and this guy's slow enough that you could actually have characters in between play around it. That's the type of stuff I want to try to introduce, is stuff you can play around and not feel like you're being cheated because the game just wants you to lose characters. I mean, granted, there are characters like that where they hit really hard, and they hit really hard and they could kill a character one shot, but I try to make it fair where I can. Okay, so I think a lot of this area is done. Yeah, so let's move on to the skirt. Cool lore. Thanks, dude. Could your heroes ascend as you described? I guess kind of. I'm adding a whole bunch of new quirks that are super ridiculous, like super powerful, and the only way to get them is you fight in like an arena. You fight in like an arena for glory, and if you win, you get these super awesome quirks. But if you lose, then you get like really bad quirks, which isn't that big of a deal because you could just clear them in the sanitarium. But there's still like negative quirks that you have to clear. So I guess that's the hero's way of ascending, is they get like ridiculous quirks. Like, yeah, 26 bleed, that's Shrieker level. Yeah, there's a lot of those in this. where the character, a lot of it is like the characters attacking and they add buffs to themselves, and eventually the buffs stack up that when they use an attack like a bleed attack, it crits for like a ridiculous amount of damage, and that's usually how you lose. That's actually how you end up losing a lot of characters in this dungeon. Is there's like a slow, gradual buildup of the character, like the enemy. They get like a bunch of buffs, and then eventually they just hit you for like a stupid amount of damage. There's a few enemies that just hit you for a lot of damage, period. Like the shrimp dude actually hits really hard. He can hit any rank from position 2 to 4, and he applies. It has a high crit chance, and it's also a bleed attack, so he actually has a chance of critting and killing a lot of characters. But his damage and crit range is only high enough to kill characters with like I think it's characters with 30 or less health is where he'll one-shot them if they're at full health. So when you encounter those dudes, as long as you didn't bring a character that's weak to bleeds and has less than 30 health, you should be fine. But it's unfortunate that characters like the Jester and the Grave Robber fit that bill perfectly, but they also have enough base speed compared to the Shrimp that they would most likely go first. There's like a 10% chance that the Shrimp actually goes first, but characters that are low health and weak to bleeds usually are faster, which means by seeing the Shrimp dude, you should know that guy could actually crit you and kill you in one shot. Otherwise you don't have to worry about losing characters immediately unless you enter the fight with low health. Okay, there we go. So you mean your our strategic choices will be heavily rewarded? Yeah, basically. And then the idea is that the comp you bring also matters. So of course, because everything is a different, every faction's a different specific type of enemy. Like the Harpies are mostly unholy and beasts. The Abyssal dudes are almost always, I think they're actually all Eldritch. And then the Cultists are a mixture of human and some unholy. Like some of the big dudes are unholy, but that's it. So bringing certain heroes means you have a certain advantage versus some of the factions, and then based on how you build those characters, that also helps you with specific comps the enemies could have. So a big thing is that a lot of the enemies in this game, or in this dungeon, can start in position 1-2. Like position 1-2 is now actually a threat in this dungeon because a lot of them hit really hard and are in position 1-2. So bringing like a character like the Leper, or like the Thrall, who are really slow but hit really hard at position 1-2 is actually pretty worth it, because a lot of those characters are actually tanky enough that if you don't bring enough reliable position 1-2 damage, you might actually end up triggering the stall penalty because you're not doing enough damage to those position 1-2 targets. I've never actually happened before where I actually couldn't do enough damage to position 1-2 where I was actually, like, I never had that happen where I was not doing enough damage that it actually triggered the stall penalty. But it's still like something you gotta keep in mind. Like you can't just bring a team that can only nuke position 3-4 and stun position 1-2, because you'll just end up not doing enough damage. The Thrall must be so pleased. Yeah, he can become God in this dungeon. Behind the Great Spider. Let me think. So it's like it has to do with a myth that I read. It's called, I think the character is called Arachne. It's like a mythological creature. It's like a woman who could make the best like tapestries, and she was so good that it actually rivaled the gods. And the character was so, like the woman who was making these tapestries was so like she had such an inflated ego that she said that, you know, like there's no way like the gods could ever make something as cool as this. And one of the gods actually got angry and turned her into a spider. And she was like, you know, spiders do like the web thing where they weave the web, so it's kind of like that. And she got turned into some spider monster. That's as far as I read in that myth, though. And that's what that boss is based on. Is seamstresses and then like them weaving things together. It's a tough fight actually. That's the toughest fight I've made for the mod so far. Is that spider one? I got like I brought a full team with no negative quirks and a bunch of locked in positive quirks, and I got crushed. And I went into the fight intentionally. It wasn't an unintentional fight. I went in intentionally knowing what I was bringing and what I was going to be fighting, and I still lost horribly. I didn't even do any damage to her because she was so she wrecked me so hard. It's a tough fight. I'm gonna work on making it more fair. Okay. I think one of these. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so that's an uncomfortable number of bones I gotta connect to this, but should be fine. Does it rival the Countess fight? Dude, the Countess fight doesn't even stand a chance against the spider. In its current form, the spider is actually way tougher than the Countess. So I gotta fix that because I don't want this mini boss to be stronger than an actual final boss for a dungeon. But I like the mechanics I worked into the boss fight. I thought the mechanics I worked in were actually really cool to play with. It's just that she was so overpowered that it made it so there was literally no chance you could ever kill her. Like versus the Countess, you kind of get that feeling like, oh, can I win this or can I not win this when she starts transforming and healing and stuff, and you just know you have to endure that and make it through. In this fight, it was like there's not even a chance I could ever win this. The only reason I didn't retreat was because she has an attack where she grabs one of your heroes and wraps them up, so you gotta free them just like the Hag or the Fanatic. So I was like, okay, I'll just break him out and then retreat. But then she just killed two of my heroes, and then one of my heroes got stunned, so I didn't even get a chance to retreat. When the losses were becoming very clear. Yeah, the spider's the mini boss. She's this dungeon's version of the collector, except she has like a 1% chance of spawning. So if you have 100% loot, so your whole pack is full, she has a 1% chance of spawning during every fight. But if it's dark and you have full loot, then she has like a 10% chance of spawning. And she's a really tough fight. And then you could just summon her normally with a curio. There's like a curio you can use to summon her if you wanted to fight her. But yeah, she's a tough one. Not easy. Oh god, this is freaking disgusting. Okay, let's fix it. She's a tough one. A lot of the bosses, except for like the main three, are summonable. You can summon them in any dungeon if you find the curio. Oh my god, this is a disgusting mesh. I feel gross looking at this. The biggest difficulty boner right now. We'll never have full loot, no way, yeah. Just make sure you have one slot. Just have one slot empty and you'll never have to run into her. But she's the reward she gives is actually insane. I don't think it's a reward that matters for late game though. It's she drops 5 jute tapestries. That's like 25k gold. And I think jute tapestries are the most they're the most efficient item for gold gain, I think. Next to the antiquarian's minor relic. So she drops a whole bunch of cash, but I don't think that's enough. I don't think that's something you actually care about when you enter the dungeon, because it's like late game, and I think the reason you enter the dungeon is one, you want to make progress towards the final bosses so you can get all those really nice, awesome OP trinkets, and then you want to get a lot of the. You want to start accumulating a lot of the really awesome quirks that you could get as a part of fighting all these monsters. But I think 25k gold is a worthwhile investment to fight a stupidly hard boss. Or maybe it's not, I don't know. We'll see. I still gotta do a lot of playtesting to really understand where I want to go with this character. I thought she was the third boss. Now I'm excited to see what it is being revealed. I'm still working on it, dude. It's I want the final boss to be like a good build up. Like I want you to be fighting all of these insanely powerful monsters, and then you go to the final boss and you're like, this is the final dude. This is the final dude of the dungeon. All of the other bosses were so insanely hard. I wonder what this one's gonna be. So I'm still working on trying to create like a really cool design for that. But I think it'll be cool. I already have like a base idea of the concept I'm going with. I just need to execute on it. Oops. It's unfortunate I'm taking so long on this character. I think it's just because this is gonna be so easy to do that I'm just taking my time. But it's all good. Okay. I think I'm gonna have that connect to him. Where does this one gonna connect? Cool. It's just Wilbur. It's just Wilbur. I need to make a wiki for all this stuff. I'll probably have some documentation. I haven't created any documentation for it so far because I do so many changes that it would actually be more work if I made documentation now. But once I get everything finalized and I'm happy with where all of the characters are currently, then I'll make some Google Doc or something. Plot twist: enemy has come onto your maker. Yeah, they just take all of your. They just eat your heroes alive. They're harder than the final boss. What happened to the city after Thor became angry? The lore is really exciting. I'm trying to find the timeline. They're all smashed. Okay. So the other thing about the city is it's like outside the bounds of time and space. So it's like an abnormality in like the whole timeline. So time doesn't really apply as a thing to that place in terms of like the timeline of what happened, but the basic story of what happened is it's like the thrall was super angry, so he wrecked the like the crowd favorite, and then he became so ferocious that he just destroyed and pummeled his way through the city and then escaped. And then at the same time while that was happening, an enemy army infiltrated and destroyed and just killed everyone in the city. And then the city became cursed somehow, and it became lost in like some eldritch like time sphere type of thing, and then it starts like teleporting all over the place. And then like time isn't really relative in that place, so like 1 year of time in real world would be like 1,000 years of time in the little reality that the sunken city is stuck in. So that's why that's how like a character like Belami or Thrall can still exist in this timeline, and then the city that they were in originally is suddenly all ancient and sunken and like, you know, whatever. So that's the idea. That's my time trickery for the thing. Oh, this is actually a bone I need to have connected. This is really complicated. That's cool. Thanks, dude. Yeah, don't try to find a timeline though. There's no logical timeline to that place. We'll see what happens though. I'm actually like everything I want planned for the dungeon is actually already finalized. I just gotta execute on making all of the stuff for it, which is great. Connected here. This is pretty rough. I gotta find out what would actually hold on to that. This is a lot of control down here. Let's change that. Okay, and why isn't Red Hook hired yet? I don't know. I'd love to be hired at Red Hook. That'd be like a dream job. I have like a short list of companies I want to work for, and Red Hook's on that list. Here we go. And do you think you ever do a big project like this again? It seems like you are having a lot of fun with this project. Yeah, probably. I don't want to do. So my idea for the future timeline of this is assuming that Color of Madness is the last DLC that's ever going to be released for Darkest Dungeon. I'm going to be doing 4 characters and then a big project, and that's going to be like the pattern I'm going to do forever. Is like I'll make like a pack of 4 characters and name them the CO insert word here. So the last one was like the Seo special, and then now I'm going to do I'll do like the Seo Supreme, or like the Seo super combo or something. I don't know, something, some type of word insert here as like the party name, and then I'll do like some big project for one of the regions. In this case, this is like the dungeon I'm doing for the Cove, and then after that, currently the timeline is I'm planning one for the Weald, and then the Ruins, and then the Courtyard, and then the Warrens. That's like the timeline for big projects currently. The Seo Surprise. I like that. Are all of the 3 main bosses in competitions? Also, what's the story behind the Sculptor and the Judicator while you're at it? So, the 3 main bosses aren't in competition with each other. They're actually the upper class of the city. So think of them more like everyone's fighting, and these 3 bosses on the top are just watching over it, and they're partially responsible for a lot of the time stuff that's happening in the dungeon. So for instance, the Judicator is like the judge. Like she can well, it's a they, but they're both female, so I guess it's she. She can bring the dead back to life. So all of the dead bodies that died, she can just bring them all back to life. So that's how like the city is in constant conflict, but no one ever actually dies. The Sculptor kind of like takes the people who died, reform them a little bit, and then gives them to the Judicator to revive. So the Sculptor's like that's how like a lot of the cultists, as they get more and more powerful, they become unholy because they're being resculpted and reformed into bigger, nastier cultists. And then a lot of the champion mini bosses, they're like resculpted monsters that are like they're like the pinnacles of the Sculptor's creations, are like the mini bosses you fight. So the Weaver's an example. The giant spider dude, that's like a resculpted creature that that the sculptor created, and that's like it's like roaming around and then like attacking your heroes and stuff, and it's super nasty. So the Seo special stream, the Grant SSS. Yeah, what's up? What's up, Essence and Kwai? He said he wanted to do 4 heroes, the 1 region a while ago, then 1 area a while ago. Not sure if he's still holding up to that though. I was expecting something like Adobe Animate's Bone Tool. Not sure you're familiar with that, but this is way beyond that. I think this. I've messed around with like Adobe before. I think this is actually a lot simpler to use than that program. To be honest, it's just you just gotta learn a lot of the stuff, and there's actually not that much you have to learn. Like comparable programs from like working softwares like Maya and then Photoshop. There's so much stuff you gotta learn about those programs before you can actually get a grasp of how to use them effectively. But this one doesn't have that much. I talked about a lot of the beginning stuff that you need, and I still have to talk about a lot of the stuff that you need once you start animating, but it's not that much. Speaking of which, I've been stuck on this mesh forever because I keep talking. But that's fine. I'm fine with talking. If you're doing a court mod, I'm going to devour you. Don't worry, that's on the very end of the list. That's like gonna be down a few years down the line, dude. So you're fine. That's a lot of plans. Yeah, I do a lot of pre-planning before I do a lot of my projects, because I want to make sure I have a solid enough plan for when I execute it. And I think I have a good enough plan. Because the biggest thing the biggest problem I had running into when I was doing the 4 character mods, the Thrall, the Seraph, the Lamia, and the Falconer, was in the middle of doing each of those, I was having a lot of trouble coming up with good ideas for characters. And that's kind of the reason why I did this big project, was because I was building the idea of this big project and I really liked where it was going, but I was running out of ideas for characters. So I wanted to do this big project, and then while I'm working on it, eventually I'll just come up with cool ideas for characters and write them down and then refine them as I work on this. And that's actually been what was happening, is as I was working on this this gigantic mod, I had a lot of ideas pop into my head for characters, and I just wrote them down and then slowly added to them over time. And then eventually they became actually like really cool ideas that I liked for characters, which is great. Not much. How are you, Sayo? I'm doing good. This is taking a lot longer, mostly because I'm talking, but I don't think this is gonna take any time at all to like animate, so it should be fine. I thought the Thrall story was that he was against the crowd favorite and he was discarded by the owner. Okay, so he was against the crowd favorite, and the fight was set up in such a way that the Thrall actually had a disadvantage because he had a hard time hitting the crowd favorite because he's so fast. You know, because the Thrall is like slow and he has low accuracy and stuff like that. So he's supposed to lose the fight, but the crowd favorite underestimated the Thrall and thought he was dead when he actually wasn't dead. He was still alive, and the Thrall just destroyed him. And then the Thrall got really angry, and he freaking beat his way out of the city. Okay, so this is giving me a bit of trouble. I might actually have to. Yeah, I'm gonna redo these bones. So this is. So there's gonna be 1 cloth missing, but that's fine. So yeah, then the Thrall smashed. It'll be explained It'll be explained with his trinkets, the dungeon trinkets you could get for him, but he's actually part Eldritch. Roll on the next few years. How's the progress going? It's going good, Raincloud. All the bones are done. I'm just working on the meshes, but I'm taking forever to do it because I'm answering a lot of questions. But that's fine. I'm fine with answering questions. Any teasers to care you care to give on these characters? Nothing super. If you're talking about this this expansion, it's three factions: cultists, harpies, and abyssals. And this guy's a classic example of one, the cultist, like a cultist gladiator. If you're talking about the characters that I have planned after this, then not really, because a lot of it's not fully developed yet. But most of the characters that most of the character concepts I've come up with are like from they're like Chinese, Korean, Japanese characters, you know, like Eastern type of stuff. Because there's a lot of cool ideas there that I feel like aren't fully explored in a lot of games that focus in that area, like samurais and stuff. Because it's almost always like they focus on the Ronin, but I never see anything of like the stuff around that area, around like stuff that happened during that area that's also like super cool. So I'm gonna be exploring a lot of concepts in there to see what I can get. Okay, let's go mesh. Let's bind. Okay, so two of them are orange, but they're separated far enough that I think that's not gonna be a problem. Okay, so hopefully now this is gonna look cool. That'd be a shame if this doesn't look cool at all after I just made these new bones. What kind of class will be the next character? So I wanted to be a healer, but I'm having troubles coming up with a cool healer design that isn't silly. And I feel like that's also the reason why we don't have a lot of healers in the game currently, is because it's actually kind of hard to come up with a cool healer design that isn't a variant of the Vestal. Because a lot of, when you think of healers for like RPGs, a lot of it is like, you know, priest. The priest is the healer, and that's almost all of it. Is the priest is the healer. When you think of healers for fantasy games like Darkest Dungeon. So you know, like coming with the Lamia, that was like I don't know how I came with the Lamia. I think I was thinking of Medusa, and then I was thinking, well, what if Medusa was a healer rather than like how most games portray her, like some fast-moving, damage-dealing character. So it's hard to come up with cool healer concepts. It's a lot easier to write down, like, okay, this would be cool for a healer, and then coming up with something to look cool as well for that healer design is kind of hard. Any teasers? Let's see. Tank DPS are somewhat unique, like the Seraph. So I'm thinking the next character is probably going to be a DPS, and then I'll try to come up with a cool healer. Local man so angry he destroys city. Yeah, basically. Florida man. No head cannon right there. New head cannon right there. Okay. The Thrall having flashbacks of killing the crowd favorite and then fighting city guard would be really fun. I'd love to have flashbacks for some characters I create, but I'm having troubles integrating the flashback stuff. Like, I'm trying to figure out ways I can use flashbacks in a cool way, but I'm having troubles finding that, because the only way I know how to do it is to have it happen after camp. But I don't really like the application of having it happen after camp, because what that ends up feeling like to me is that character is specifically good on short runs, and if you take them on long or medium runs, then they can actually make camping a disadvantage rather than an advantage. That's how I feel about the ambushes for the Shieldbreaker in particular. It feels like as a character in the long run, she's super weak early because of those ambushes, but in the long run, she's a good character. But I never have a need for a character like that where it's like super weak early, but strong in the long run, because there's characters like the Highwayman or the Houndmaster that are strong early and strong in the long run. That's just my opinion, though. Thrall is part Eldritch. Yeah, he is. He's part Eldritch. You'll find out more in the mod. Harpies. You finally have bird people, or we finally have bird people. You can look at you can find the VOD of the character. I think it's still on my Twitch channel. Me animating a harpy, quote unquote. Sort of. Check his Twitter. More Eastern influence stuff sounds fantastic. Flashback, except it's a camping skill you choose to use to represent facing your fears. I think that'd be a good application of it. Yeah, it's just I don't know how to apply that currently. Hopefully when Color of Madness comes out, then they'll have like a whole bunch of new features that I could use. That would be really cool. Well, we'll see. I'm excited for Color of Madness. I think it's gonna be great. So usually what I do when the DLC comes out is I just spend like a good few days playing the base game with that DLC enabled. And once I've beaten it, then I just go into the files and look at all the stuff that I missed. Which was actually, like, I actually missed, like, nothing with the Courtyard. When Crimson Court came out, I actually missed none of the content. I got all of the content while I was playing blind, which was great. Hey, let's fix that. Will this be able to fix it? I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so there's some hard transition here, which is that one. So this needs it too. Okay. I think I'm fine with this much movement for this part of the mesh. This is a little bit of a problem. Okay, yeah, this is becoming a big problem. Let me think how I can fix that. It might just mean that I can't, I have to watch out when I animate this. I think that's what it's gonna come down to. Looks good. Looks fine. Good enough. Yeah, so if everything just swings together, then that should be fine. So I think I'm done. I think I'm good with that one. Same though, yeah. Yeah. Oh my god, it's almost been 2 hours. Well, I guess if you cut out all of the talking I did and you just put in the actual work, this is probably 2 hours of actual work. But I'm happy to answer questions, so this stream will be a lot longer than predicted. Okay, cool. And then this is only 2 bones, so this is super simple. Okay. Yeah, so let's see. It's been 5 streams, so that means we've animated 5 monsters. And there's 24 generic monsters that I currently need to work on. So I'm thinking a good portion of those monsters I'll probably do off stream actually, because some of them are pretty nasty looking, and I don't know if I could. I don't know if Twitch would be happy with me animating a really grody monster for 3 hours, 3 to 4 hours. Let me see if this looks good. It looks decent. It did an okay job. It does a pretty good job when there's only 2 bones, but sometimes it does a horrible job. I'm happy with that. Okay, let's do this one. Okay, here we go. And this one, I'm gonna connect it to the hip. That way, this part of the mesh never moves, because it's technically connected to something under this belt. I know I'm enjoying the insight and discussion. That's great to hear, Dark Raven. I want to see the animation, man, that is only tendrils that you posted. It reminds me of a bit of Soma. Which one's the tendril one? Is it the one with the... I don't remember. I don't remember which one's the tendril one, dude. But if it's which one? Which one would that be? Is it a mini boss? Is it like is it the one with the like the two tentacles with shields? Is that the one you're talking about, Dexy? Because I'll probably have to do that off stream, because that's a really complicated one. That one is almost entirely meshes. Okay, so did it do a good job? Nah, not really. It's mostly this stuff right here. I don't want to have control up there. Cool, there we go. Oh yeah, that's right. I want this one to have control too. So let's do that. It's kind of weird that it usually if there's a bone all the way out here outside the mesh, it doesn't calculate at all. It just says that it just doesn't calculate, but it actually calculated, which is weird. Okay, guys, let's allow this man to do his work. Yeah. No, the mini boss has 2 legs and the rest looks like a big... Oh, yeah, that one, yeah. That one might actually be something I could animate on stream. Maybe. I'm still iffy about the design, though. I gotta think about if I like that design or not. Okay, so now I actually think I want to have more control over here, to be honest. Cool. Let's give this one more control. Cool. Oh yeah, this needs to still be meshed, so let's do that. This one shouldn't be too hard. What time is it? Okay, almost 4. It's fine. It's plenty of time. Okay. And there needs to be bones around this, or points. And then delete the stuff around. And let's bind that to, let's see, hip, and then these. Okay, that's everything. Okay, but the one you talked about looks fun too. Although, yeah, it would be a very long. It would be very long to animate. Yeah, that one's one of the ones that's gonna take like a few days. Okay, didn't calculate. That's fine. But yeah, that guy with the worms and stuff. I might do that on stream. I don't know. We'll see. There's still a lot of basic enemies I gotta animate though. That crab dude's a size 2 monster, so that's gonna be the that one's gonna be fun to animate because I gotta make sure I put enough effort into that one to make him look worthy of being a size 2 monster, animation wise. That guy's freaking mean though. Like when I was fighting that crab, in when I was playtesting the dungeon. He was the guy that party wiped my whole team because he hits really hard. Freaking crabs. But I think I'm okay with him party wiping my team. He's a pretty insane monster concept. It'd be one thing to wipe to like cultists or like it'd be one thing to wipe to like spiders or something, but wiping to like a literal angry crab with a bunch of stuff stuck in them, I think I'm okay with that. Okay, let's go soften up, make these things transition properly. And then over here as well. I think I'm actually gonna give this one more control. And down here as well. I think that's good. Let's test it out. That's really hard. So let's fix it. It's mostly because of the bones down here, that's why it's hard. I think that's actually fine. I don't think I'll ever have that move, so that's fine. This will move a lot though. Okay, so I just gotta keep in mind that I never want this to swing that much, or else it's gonna break. So it's probably gonna swing in this direction, but not this direction that much. That should be fine. Okay, let's do these ones. These ones are super simple. Okay, and then just put points in the middle. And then delete the outer ones. Cool. Okay. Let's see if it did a good job. That's pretty cool because it looks 3D, but I don't think I actually want that. So yeah, so it somehow auto-calculate made it so it look 3D, but that's the type of stuff I meant. Like, you can make things look 3D in this program if you know how to use bones and meshes correctly. But let's fix that because I don't want that at all. better. Okay, let's see. Good enough. I don't think I'm gonna have that bone move so much, so that's fine. Got. Cool. And there we go. So then points in the middle. Okay, and then bind it. Cool. So after that, I only have to do the legs. The legs are only 3 bones, so that should be easy. And then we can get into animating after 2 hours, which is fine. Auto calculated. Let's see if it did good. It might make it look 3D again. Nah, I just did a horrible job on that one though. Looks okay up there. And it did a horrible job there too. So let's fix it. Why is this happening? Oh, it's because of this stuff up here. That's unfortunate. That's the main reason why it's doing that. Well, I just have to make sure I don't rotate it too much, I guess. Cool. Okay, time to do the feet. My dad ordered pizza. Life those pizza emotes were still available. I would be spamming them. I actually have pizza in the refrigerator. I had it yesterday. It was great. Pizza's like something to eat. Something I probably eat way too much, but I love it. Do you have any opinion on other classes about their flavor? Personally, I love how the librarian fits in the ruins, how the omen seeker fits in the court, and how the falconer fits in the wield. When you say flavor, you mean like how they... You mean like their effectiveness in the dungeon, or like lore-wise their flavor? Because if you're talking about lore-wise, I like a lot of the characters in the workshop. My only gripe with the librarian is I wish the librarian was more thematically like a serious class, less of a a college girl out of grad school type of thing, and more like an actual like an actual like scholar looking to keep these forbidden secrets away from from the wrong hands. But I'm fine with like the novice scholar out of school type of stuff. That's cool too. I think it's pretty fun to think of the lore of your own characters. Yeah, exactly. I try to do that with my classes. Is like I try to make the lore not super upfront, like in your face. so that the player comes with a lot of the details. But yeah, I have my own headcanon of my lore as well. I like those ones. Omen Seeker is cool. I actually don't know much about the lore side of her. I know the Cataphract. The Cataphract's going through a lot of lore changes, but I like the lore that was established for that class. Is this good? I think this is going to be good. Okay, here we go. It always wins. Oh snap! Okay, cool. This might actually look like garbage. Yeah, it's controlling a part I don't want at all. So let's change that. Okay, so let's add more control for red over here. See? Oh god. Oh, it's because green's controlling like a stupid amount. We'll have to see how that looks when it's animated. Okay, so that I know for sure I want to change. I don't want to actually pull anything. Good enough. Okay, let's move on. Okay, here we go. This should be final mesh, which it looks like it is. A lot of this is black, so I don't really have to worry about those too much. Or the points, I should say. Cool. There we go. What's up, Calamity Cats? How you doing? We're almost done with the meshes and the skeletons, so we can get into animating soon. So I think you arrived at a pretty good time. Okay, let's see how I did. Not so good. So it's mostly the top here I gotta fix. Let's have more control here. And I think the lack of control for red is fine, because I don't think the player's actually ever going to see this part when I animate it, so it's fine. Cool. Okay, that's good. I like that. Let me save for the first time in like an hour. Okay. Cool. Okay, time to animate. Yep. So I'm planning for him to have the same number of frames as this dude right here, the Cultist Brawler. So let's do that. And hold on, there's one more thing I gotta change, and that's attaching effects dot to the upper spine. So now if I move this, yep, there we go. Just gotta be careful with the shield to make sure that doesn't do anything funny. It's kind of weird that part of him's not animated at all. Actually, it's weird. So the real question is, do I want him to bounce up or down? Let's see. Let's try down for now. I think I like him moving down. He's kind of wielding a lot of heavy stuff, so I think it's fine. What's up, Put It Lay? How you doing? You arrived at a good time because we're about to start getting into like the start of the animation. Okay, let's make him slouch over while he's doing that. Let's make it so we can't select images. I guess I should go over this since this is supposed to be the tutorial, dude. So let's go over this. So this is the timeline. This is the loop for the animation, and I believe you can turn off looping by turning that off, and then it won't loop. But obviously you want that on because this is supposed to be a looping animation. This right here, the graph, is probably the most important thing you're going to be using for these animations. So if you were to move this over to 10 and then move this by rotating, it'll create a keyframe. And I don't know. I think I'm going to explain this from the perspective that you've never used like an animation program before. So basically, keyframes are set pose positions for your character. So this is number 20, and I've had it so it rotates at this one, so it records information. And when this moves over to 20, it'll be the exact same pose as the one I set up here. So it's going to be this pose, and then everything in between the spine will create like a transition for that. So he's going to translate into that animation. And then this graph over here, they have the default options. You can make it stepped, and what that means is that it's not going to make that change until it actually hits the frame. So it's going to be like no change, and then once it gets from 19 to 20, it's going to be a sudden change. And then curve is the most important one in my opinion. So this adds like a really nice effect to the animation, this curve, because when it's a straight line, when it's just like straight line, it kind of makes him look a little robotic, you know, like he doesn't exactly move like a humanoid would, like a normal person. And then I have all these presets, and you can set your own presets by like clicking on different bones, and then say I wanted this curve, then I could hit preset and then add it with this plus sign. So then I can add a custom one, and I can apply it to any bones I click on. So if I were to go over here and do this, and then I have this preset called Anim, which is the it's like the curve, like the custom curve that a lot of the Darkest Dungeon character bones use. And if I click it, it just automatically adds it to this. Like that. So that's a really important one, and then you can grab these like things right here and then move them up and down to change how the curve looks, and that'll affect the animation. So you could have like this you could have this be a sudden like dip and then go up, and that'll make the animation look a lot more jittery. Like it's gonna move slow and then fast all of a sudden. Like, yeah, this is really important for doing these animations. And then this is these ones are cool too. I only ever use these ones. I never use a jest. And what that does is if you have both of these selected, then you can move this over, and then it'll offset the animation like that. So now he's now rather than moving at the same speed as the hips, these actually move ahead of the hips slightly. And that's really cool because you never want everything on your character moving on the exact same frame, because that makes it look not realistic. Like, realistically, when you're moving up and down, not all of the parts of your body and all your armor is gonna move in the same rhythm. You know, like if you move up and down, then there's gonna be a slight delay for your armor to move with you because of it's like a gravity thing. So that's pretty important. The number of frames you make your animation for Darkest Dungeon specifically never matters, as long as really the only thing that matters for the animation is that it loops. You can have anything happen in the middle as long as it loops at the end. That way it doesn't look funny in game. I almost never use these options either. What these options do is that if you click on them and lock them, then the children attached to that bone won't move with it. So if I did this and then move this, then none of the arms would move with it. As you can see, none of these bones on top that are parented to it would ever move. So that's what that does. You definitely want images turned off. Like, you can't click on images while you're animating, because you never want to move the image itself. You only want to move the bones, because that's the controls. I never use these options, so I actually don't know what they do. And then these are just like setup. This is what you use to move stuff around, and you move this around to key them at different positions. I think that's everything I need to explain. There's some options up here that you could do. So playback. Sometimes I use playback, so you could basically set the speed to like a quarter of it and then watch it as it slowly animates. And sometimes that lets me see some issues I'm having seeing it in real time. So if I see it at this type of speed and I see an issue that I really don't like for some reason and I can't put my finger on it, I usually play it at about half speed and then I watch it slowly and see what specifically I don't like about the animation, or even a quarter of the speed if I really want to digest what I'm looking at. But usually, sometimes I use this sometimes, but usually I don't use it, which is why I almost never have it open. And then the rest of these are already turned on, like the dope sheet and the timeline and stuff. You can click this one, which is really useful, which will fit the canvas to all of the skeletons you're currently working with. So sometimes when you're zooming in like this, and you're just working, and then you want to see the whole thing like perfectly, like see all the details and stuff like that, then I just click this and then it zooms in to the perfect size. So yeah, that should be everything. Okay. Alright, Marvin and you, I was afraid... Let's see. I had missed most of it, but yeah, we're just getting into the animation. Complex shield boy. I just realized you already have 5 out of 24 enemies colored and animated. It's fun to see that happen. Yeah, it's a slow process. This is like the type of thing that you gotta work every day for, and you don't really realize it's done until it's done. But that's fine. I'm okay with working every day. You missed a bunch of plans talk, yeah. Basic enemies. I'm scared of my peeps. Spoilers, yeah. Kind of spoilers. I wish I'm good like you. It just takes time. You just gotta work every day, and you can easily be as good as people. Like you could be as good as you want to as long as you work every day. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, thank goodness for VODs. Yeah, you can go back and watch some VODs. I talk about a lot of the lore bits for the bosses and the factions and stuff. Okay, well that should be everything I need to explain for animation. So I'm just gonna start animating. So, I like the movement of the body, but I want to try to make it less exaggerated for the shield. Okay, so I forgot to put in breathing controls, but I don't think I actually want to go in and do it now that I'm getting to animating. I think I can be okay with not having some breathing control. I think I could do it. I think I could get away with just having the clavicles move up and down, and that should be fine. Well, I don't like the movement of that head, so I'm going to fix that. I'll probably have this head move up and down as well. I want to try to give him a much more. I want to make his animation similar to the brawler where he's doing like the arm pump thing, but I also want to make it a lot more exaggerated because this guy's a beefy version of him. So that's kind of the idea, but I also want to make it less silly. So I gotta find ways to do that. Which I will do. I think I'm actually gonna move this to start with. Freaking Monster Man. Okay. I missed the lore. Yeah. Do you go into these guys with an idea of how you want them to animate, or do you just go with the flow? Usually, I have like a very rough idea. Like, okay, so this guy, like I had this guy, and I was like, okay, I want him to do like the cultist brawler arm pump thing. When I was drawing him, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is definitely gonna be similar to the cultist brawler. Like he's gonna look like he's hulking and pumping his arms and stuff like that. But when I'm going in, usually what happens is something changes. Like there's some problem, like I can't figure out like how to make the because he doesn't have both his arms, I can't find a way to make the thing look cool, stuff like that. Sometimes a problem like that occurs, and I just go with the flow and change what I have to make it look cool. That kind of happened with the shrimp guy when I was animating the shrimp dude. Was like I was going in like, okay, yeah, he's gonna do like some cool movements similar to like the supplicant, where he's got like his mouth like closing really fast or whatever, and then he's like doing like a bounce, and he looks cool. But when I went into it, I was like, well, when I was doing the mouth thing, it didn't look really cool. It actually looked kind of silly. So then I changed it to just normal breathing, and then I was having troubles with the basic body movement, so I changed that. And I ended up coming out with a result that I wasn't expecting, but I still thought was really cool. I think I want the shield to move some more. Move outwards. So let's do that. And usually took me a while to understand that really when you're animating it always looks like crap the first time because nothing is offset and nothing is, you know, like working together properly on the character. So when you're doing these base movements, you just have to look at like the best parts of it and understand that you want to try to maintain those while you're working on the rest of it. So like I like the hulkiness of this character currently in this animation, but obviously he looks really silly, so I need to find a way to fix that. Specifically this head, I actually don't like that head movement at all. Getting there. I don't think I'm gonna worry about the bottom half of his body at all until I figure out this top half. I feel I may never stop playing this game to the next few projects. It's awesome. Yeah, I love this game, and it's it feels kind of sad that they're not really planning anything past the Color of Madness currently. Hopefully that changes, but I'm hoping that the stuff that I add will help people keep playing the game, because that's a lot of the replayability for me, is the fact that new DLC's coming out, and plus there's mods, and I can check out all this new stuff that people come out with every day, and it's freaking awesome. Oh yeah, he gave some juicy lore. Yep. Yeah, like the champion favorite. Yep. Wait until you see what other modders are currently doing. Yeah, like S Purple and Claire's doing her big overhaul, and S Purple's doing a whole bunch of new monsters. It's gonna be freaking great. And then I'm assuming that more people like S Purple, like great artists with big ambition, are gonna come in when all these great mods are coming out, like Moonlit Dungeon, and then all the stuff that S Purple's planning. Once all that comes in, then I'm pretty sure that's going to inspire a whole bunch more like artists to come in and try their hand at working on this, which is great. Working on heroes and some enemies. I know Claire's adding some cool heroes to her mod, and I'm doing a CC edition. Yeah. It'll be great. So I like a lot of this, actually. I like this movement. I just have to offset it to see how it looks. That's a little funny, though. Let me see how I can fix that. Oh, that's not even the issue. It's the clavicle that's the issue. Okay, he's not hulking enough. Let's make him more hulky. Oh, these aren't even, they don't even have their offset, so let's fix that. The shield's actually moving a lot, which is not good, because this is supposed to be a really heavy shield, so it shouldn't be moving that much. Let's fix it. Getting there. Cool. We must get the content running, yeah. I can change the files easy enough, but I'm rubbish at art. So my first mod for Darkest Dungeon was a basic, not so great mod. That's fine though. Little mods are still fine. I mean, PBD has almost like no, like PBD is not a Pitch Black Dungeon's not like a art focused mod, but it's still like a great mod, you know. Like you can still make like awesome mods without new art. Art is definitely the hardest part of making a quality mod. Thankfully, the first enemies I'm animating were drawn by S Purple, so I have easier time implementing. Yep. You can do great things though if only basic changes to the files. Look at Scarlet Ruins, for example. Yeah, exactly. This might be too much movement, but I think I'm gonna stick with it for now. I actually want the shield to move more now that I look at it. Okay, so he's going up and he's going down, so let's make that go down more. I think now I need to start working with offsets to see how he's gonna look. Actually, let's add more bounce to him first before I do that. Same with the helmet. Okay, and okay. Let's try a slight bit of rotation. I think I'm gonna move the helmet up now. Actually, let's see. I like how the shield looks like a door. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Door shield. Yep. It's a nice, easy game to mod. I think I just need to learn the game a bit more before I make any more mods. Yeah, this is probably the easiest game to mod, to be honest. But it comes with the drawback that because they've made it so easy to mod, you can't do super complicated things like adding new dots or changing the base like the super core gameplay mechanics, because there's no actual code. It's just like, you know, the numbers and stuff like that. But it's fine. I'm not a coder, so a game that actually gives you like full freedom for modding would probably actually be too much for me. That's fine. I think this is like the perfect balance for me. Is just like I could just do all the art and then do some simple coding, and then bam, it's like a great mod. Good ideas will come with the time you play. Yep. Iron Crowns has stress pattern on the game. Yeah, I like, that's actually one of my favorite parts too, is the stress icons that they just like sneak into like a bunch of different places. That was actually one of my favorite parts, is that they made this awesome icon for stress, and it's kind of hard to think of an icon for stress, but they actually came up with an icon that works really well. Like, I can look at that icon and think that's a pretty stressful icon, and they sneak it in everywhere, and it's great. Well, one of the things I wanted to do for a long time was make the factions feel threatening by adding more invasion events like Wolves of the Door. That'd be interesting, yeah. Sounds pretty cool. What changed your mind? Also, yeah, dark, good ideas. You'll have to refresh me on what you mean by the changing my mind thing. I feel like the game was at times uneventful. True, yeah. Total War games are easier to mod than It's All Tables. For real, I didn't even know the Total War games were moddable. I haven't done it before because CC came out, and now I'm working on my CC mod. I also didn't know how to make maps back then too, yeah. I actually just recently found out how to do maps, which is great. That's just my opinion and where I had the most experience. If I ever finally get into making a mod, I definitely had to start out simple. In the end, I'd really love to make a hero focused around giving others riposte. Funny enough, that's actually something Moonlit Dungeon is doing, is the Man-at-Arms now can give other heroes riposte, which is really cool. But in the current setup for the game, that's actually in order to do that, you'd have to have every single hero. You have to mod every single hero that doesn't have a riposte to have a riposte, because riposte is actually a skill that the character uses. So heroes that don't have a riposte, that you would use a skill that activates riposte on them, would actually just crash the game when they attacked, because there wouldn't be any skill for them to use. But yeah, that'd be cool. Good thing Moonlit Dungeon's implementing that. Okay, so I think I'm liking where this is going. Let's do some offsets for this top side of the body. And the shield. That's a little too... Yeah, he's moving it a lot. That's unfortunate. Okay, so I think I'm gonna make this straight, just like the brawler, and see how that looks. It's mostly the movement up here as well. Okay. Just messing around to see what I can do with this, because I want to make him look hulking, and that was a little bit too smooth of a transition for me to make seem like a hulking man. I think I'm liking where it's going though. That's still a lot of movement. I'm gonna try to do something to fix that, to make it not so much movement, but still cool. Lurk mode activate. Okay, dude. Enjoy lurking. I get that I have ideas, and then I felt I wanted to go to do something else due to shiny new stuff. Yeah. I'm trying to get better at sticking to projects. There's actually, like, in between mod making, I actually do a lot of projects that I just give up on and then come back to later. Luckily with this big project, I haven't done anything like that, which is great. Okay, let's offset this arm. That was too much. Okay, let's exaggerate this. I'm just trying to get good movement for this arm here. So I'm okay with this one being so not so moving because he's got this huge shield he's got to hold. I think I want this one to have a lot more movement though, because this would technically be a lot less heavy than this, and plus I want to make him look aggressive, which this is not portraying for me right now. think I'm not okay with this though. Let's try some stuff. Let's look at the brawler for reference, see what his arms look like. Yep, they're one movement. Oh. I don't know how that happened, but whatever. This is a lot of movement though. Okay. Let's see. I know, right? But now I'm not playing DD and waiting for Color of Madness for more mods, including this one to replay the game. Yep. I still played a bit with the Seeker because I love me some shiny new heroes. Yeah, new heroes are always great. I'm so hyped for Color of Madness, not so into Seeker myself. I appreciate hard work. It's just not a class for me personally, but it's awesome to see all the new awesome things. Yep. I understand why people don't like the Seeker, but her gameplay is really neat in my opinion. She's a great boss killer. Yeah, it's unfortunate not many people like her because of the appearance, but I don't know. A lot of people have refined tastes, so it's hard to appeal to everyone, you know. Still waiting on Color of Madness teasers. Oh, for sure, I totally get that. As said, the work is great. Yeah, Color of Madness. If it's, I don't know when they're gonna drop teasers, but if it's like Crimson Court, it's probably gonna be like 2 screenshots, some awesome art, and then a big trailer on the day before, like the night before the release, which will be great. I'm fine with that. I got super hyped for the Courtyard on the night before because I saw the trailer and I was like, okay, this is gonna be freaking awesome. They're gonna release the Courtyard and I'm gonna have so much fun tomorrow. That was great. I love that. I don't get hyped for games often, but whenever Darkest Dungeon comes out with new stuff, I always get hyped. His arm looks like a dead weight. I don't like that at all. So I think I gotta increase his hulkiness. I just gotta find out a way to do it effectively. I think I'm gonna decrease the movement on this. Just a little bit of movement. I'm liking where it's going though. This is looking a lot better for me. See what I can do here. Okay, let's see what his head looks like. That's a lot of movement. Okay, let's do it then. Now I kind of want movement controls here, though. That's unfortunate. I want like breathing controls now. Okay, I guess we're gonna go back and do it, cause it's bothering me a little bit too much. Should be simple though. Just have one. Good enough. Cool. That's all I wanted. Didn't even take that long actually. I didn't know. I don't know why I thought it was gonna take a long time. That was literally like 2 minutes of work. Any breeze? Oh no, not the mesh. I don't want to select those at all. Oh snap. Looks like by accident I actually overridden my own animation thing. So let's change that. Okay, let's pull that back. Cool. Okay. Thanks, Raincloud, for the host. Flash mechanic seems to be pretty controversial. I think if it was like something you didn't always have to fight and you could just activate for the benefits, because there are benefits to fighting it. It's just that you don't want to fight it all the time because it can ruin a lot of runs. But if it was more predictable and more controllable, I think that would be better. Because one thing you could argue is that it prevents a normal nighttime ambush because it doesn't actually shuffle your party around, which could be an interesting tool to use. Is something where instead of being ambushed randomly, you could always set up an ambush that you know you're gonna go into. Yeah, new mod tools, that'd be great. Okay. If you look into the files, you can make it so they're only a % chance and not necessarily horror. Yeah, the horror bit's also what gets me. It's 23 horror per round, and they're really tanky enemies too, the rattlers. So it actually takes a while to kill them. It takes like 3 to 4 rounds to kill them, which is enough rounds for the shield breaker to break, and she's always guaranteed to have an affliction during that encounter. The force ambush from camping, but I don't find it. Yeah, that'd be cool. By the way, Marvin, it would be nice if during one of these streams you quickly explain how to make effects, hit, and target effects too. Maybe, yeah, that'd be cool. Nightmare fuel shutters, yeah. The queen mosquito, yeah, that is pretty insane. I'm liking where this character's going though. Hmm. What happens if I move this up? Let's see. Testing some stuff out. Yeah, that looks pretty silly. He like bounces up. It's because I already did the offset, but that's fine. I like his movement currently. I'm gonna work on the shield more though. He's got a good enough body movement. I might do some adjustments later, but I like where it's going right now. Oh yeah, that's right. This one's not supposed to be offset. I like that actually. I like that a lot. Okay, I'll be back, guys. I need a bathroom break. Okay, I'm back. Let's see. I wish I had the skills to do this kind of stuff by myself. Still need to figure out how to do colors that good. Colors aren't that hard. It's you gotta understand you should work out the values, like the brightnesses, the contrast of your colors before you actually do the colors themselves. Because a lot of what makes colors really awesome is that there's good contrast in it. Like if you were to make the whole thing black and white, it would still look really, really good. And that's just that's like the secret to doing colors is you gotta make sure that in black and white it looks amazing, and then you go in and add the colors like with the same contrast. So what I actually do in Photoshop is when I'm doing colors, I have a command that turns everything black and white, so I can look at it in black and white before I while I'm working. So I just press a button and it turns black and white, and I can look at everything. And if I like it, then I can keep working. I think time is more of a restriction than anything, really. Yeah, time's always a restriction for everything. Did you see that class on the Reddit, like, pirate theme, sort of? Yeah, that was really cool. I actually want to do a pirate character. I still gotta work out how I would do that, though. Like, I don't know what I would want it to do. If you do enough art, you'll get better, but it's always hard to keep it with classes, too. True, yeah. Time's always a restriction. Everything's restricted by time. The old pirate, yep. That's the one I really hope the person makes into a full class. Pirate height, yeah. Pirates are cool. I would like to see more pirates in the game. Nope. I want this to actually move. At an offset. Kind of like that, but less exaggerated. Thinking of actually moving the shield over in general. Yeah, so this is the type of stuff I'm talking about. You can actually move this here, and it'll affect the position of the arms animation, which is great. If you wanted to do tweaks like that, the lower possibilities of a pirate could be really cool. It'd probably be, as far as I know, Darkest Dungeon can go upwards of 17th century, and everything below it is fair game. So there's a lot of really cool pirate themes I could mess with in that time frame. Since Darkest Dungeon itself is kind of like some mess of every time period. It's just every time period's got something thrown in there, which is interesting. I've never seen a game that had a setting where they didn't explicitly set the time period and just has a piece of every time period just thrown in there somewhere. It's an interesting setting. It allows for a lot more creativity when it comes to characters. I think I'm liking where this is going. I might move the head over, actually. That might be it. And then I like it. Now let's move that. Okay. Oh, whoops. Liking where he's going, actually. He's got a good hulking look to him. Let's mess around with these bits here. So it goes down. Just keep messing around. I think I'm liking where the shoulder's going. Like this to move. DD kind of feels like time has stood still and kind of melded together. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Actually, I like that. Now this movement looks funny again.
try reducing the movement. Let's go back. I'm gonna keep it like that until I figure out something else that I like. Let's do the belt. Actually, we'll make it go down instead. And this will follow. Okay, let's see. I actually want this to push out more because he's like breathing, so this would actually push out. Too much movement though for the belt. I can fix that. Move it up more. Oh, oops. Cool. I always like to check if offsets do anything cool with it though. Doesn't look like it. Oh, it's offsetting everything, that's why. Whoops. Yeah, it's still not doing anything cool. Okay, let's do this thing right here. Why does it look so funny? I guess I need this to flap too. Let's back up. Maybe it just needs more movement. or less, maybe? Let's see. Move's really funny, I don't know why. It's because of the hip? It's connected to the hip, isn't it? Hip's only moving up and down. That shouldn't be the reason. I'll figure it out eventually though. That's looking a lot more like what I want though, so that's good. Okay. Just get in there slowly. Slowly freaking this thing out. Okay. Originally I was gonna have all these cultists be pirates rather than gladiators. I think that's when I came up with this concept. Was like I was like, okay, let's make some cultists, pirates, and I changed my mind completely. Midway through making this faction, but I like where it went. Just needs a little bit of a bend. I think that's nice enough. So let's work on this, a lot of this stuff here. So I think I wanted to have it bend that way. And then I got offset all of it. See how it looks? Okay. So then let's do the bend the other direction. What time is it though? 5 o'clock, dang, 3 hours. That's fine though. We're close to done with this. There's just a bunch of little things I want to change. I think I forgot to mention it, but you can actually copy and paste these frames as well, which is what I've been doing with these the beginning and end frames. Is I've been just clicking here and then copy and pasting it. Control C, then Control V, and moving them around. So I'm gonna need to offset a lot of these because I don't want them all to swing the same pace like this. Okay, let's see. This one's actually moving a lot here, so I'm going to reduce that and then offset it. So swinginess. I think I'm okay with it. I think it actually could be reduced in some places though. So let's reduce it, specifically here. And then let's offset. Here we go. How does it look? Let's see. I hope the treasure they guard is worth it. Can't wait to see how the arena will work too. Yeah, it's cool. Hopefully the treasure's worth it. They're hard fights for sure, because I lost a lot of heroes to them. It's a little low. Let's redo. Let's see. I think I'm okay with the movement of that. guy's big shield, ready to kill someone. Oh man. Actually, I want this to swing more. I'm gonna redo these completely. Okay, here we go. It's really close to done though, which is great. Okay, now I think it's safe to offset. Okay. I'm slowly figuring this out. Now I feel like that's too much. Oh, whoops. I put it on the wrong frame. Huh. Great, so now it feels like too much going this way. Let's see. I think I can be happy with that. Cool. Okay, time to move on. It's really this bit and the legs, and I think that's it. Maybe I'll go back and adjust some of the stuff here. But that's pretty much it. Okay, so rope swinging in this direction. Yeah, this. Yeah, almost done. Yeah, it's just down here. That's pretty much it. I want this to bend more. Okay. This guy's version doesn't really move that much. So let's not make ours move that much either. I think that's fair, and then I could just move these and then it'll be fine. Okay, so let's do that. Oh man. What time is it? 5:21. Okay. Only little problem I have with DD is most of the enemies look way too human in my opinion. Like, Bloodborne does a really good job with the whole unsettling looking baddie and gives them a much more not of this world look. Like, there's mostly just bone people, pig people, fish people, and people. Yeah. I understand where you're coming from. It's kind of like it's kind of, I think Bloodborne has a good mix. It's like you have to have the dudes that are like humanoid, you know, like they're recognizably human because that's like, you know, like the basis, like the normal enemy, and then you gotta have those super awesome, gnarly looking, unsettling monster things that are obviously, like, it's obvious that they were once human, but it's also obvious that now they're like some disgusting monster. I think, yeah, I try to have a good mix. Almost all the cultists are just straight up humanoid, but a lot of the mini boss guys that I'm doing are like super gnarly monster people. Someone put it pretty someone put it in a really good way. It's like you can't have everyone be a badass or else no one's badass. That's a good way to look at it. Okay, here we go. This needs to bend. This is bending too much. Okay, and now I want to offset them. So I want to do one. Just one of them. I think I'll do this one. Let's see. Hi, is there any link to all your mods somewhere? Yeah, Falconer, Lamia, Thrall, and Sereth. They're on Nexus and Steam Workshop. Yep, there they are. They can use more Eldritch. Yeah, for sure. How exactly does offset work? That's a good question. I actually don't know the math behind it, but basically by turning these two on, it just shifts the it basically takes this, turns them all into frames, and it moves it over. So like if I like this look for the thing, then it'll shift it all over, but it doesn't work backwards for some reason. But it's how I add things moving at different paces to the animations. I think I want this one offset too. Oh, by the way, if you hold control while it's playing, it actually pauses. I'm learning this as I go too. I guess this could be useful. Holding the pause button. Okay. Okay, let's do the legs, because that's super easy. And then offset, or not offset, but add the curve. I don't like the movement on this. Let's bring that back. This one's moving too much. Knowing this is an easy way to make things go a different time is going to be very useful. Yeah, that's like a big thing about animation, like idle animations, is you want to make sure not everything moves at the same pace, or else it looks really weird. Okay, now I want to change this. Okay, let's remove all of that. Back up. Is that too much movement? I think so. Let's bring it back. think I actually want to move it down. Just messing around with the final details to see if I can find anything I like a lot. I think I'm getting to a really good spot with this one. Okay. Something about their design and the way they're presenting the game is really well done. Yeah, the cultists are cool. The two cultists that you see all the time are really cool. Even though they're technically like the exact same. I just like the design. That's something that really got me into the game the first time around, was that there were so many. At the time, you know, all the enemies were new to me, so seeing all the different enemies and how they looked for their faction was really cool. I think I want this to move up, where possible. I always like seeing like when a game sets up like a faction for an enemy. I like seeing all the different like enemy types in that faction for some reason. Something appeals to me about that. Okay. Let's see what making this move more is gonna do. Shield door cultist, here we go. I think I like it. This might be moving too much actually. How ridiculous would this look? Pretty ridiculous. Would I be okay with this? I think so. Let's see what offsetting will do. Looks really nice, love it. Cool. I'm still looking it over, thinking about it. He is a basic enemy, he doesn't have to have like the most pristine animation. Something about this arm is bothering me though. Let me see what I can do about that. This movement's bothering me too, so I'm gonna fix it. I think I'm just gonna have it slightly move, not as much movement as it was. Okay. It's almost 6 o'clock, but that's fine. So this did end up turning into a 4-hour stream, but that's fine because I was talking a lot about tutorials and answering questions, which is great. Now I want to reduce the movement. This is a weird balancing act, animating. Always things I want to change. Okay, so this needs to move somewhere. So, ooh, I like it. It's got some hulking movement going, which is cool. What can I do with this shoulder? Let's see. So then I have to make changes here. close to done, just finishing touches, and then we can see it in game. That's really the deciding factor. If it looks good in game, then it's all good. Imagine if they are both playable characters. I'm sure someone will make a mod for it. There's always mods for that. They're angry people, dude. No way they'd work for the air. They're just angry. Okay, I think that's good. So let's delete the references and then export this. Let me actually just look at it like this. He's a simple dude, so simple animation is good. I would have liked for this shield to move a little lower though. Let me see. Oops. Let's turn on offset. Okay. Yeah, definitely not that. Maybe that's good. I think that's good. Okay, exporting. Actually, I should probably go over that since this is a tutorial. So this is whatever the file you're trying to export to is. This is the output folder. Usually it's set to wherever this thing is saved. So in this case, it's the folder that I have labeled Cultist Gloryseeker. Extension.scale, non-essential data, create atlas. Yep, you want to create the atlas for sure because that's that's the image that it's going to use to reference for the animation. And usually for these settings, I always have power of 2 on. I don't know if it actually makes a difference or not, but I assume that power of 2 makes it more efficient. With a minimum width and height of 16 and a maximum of whatever the maximum is. Because that way, what it'll do is it'll try to confine it to the smallest possible dimension to fit everything, but it won't make multiple images. Because if the maximum is too low, and the number of pieces is too high, then it'll actually create 2 images, and that can lead to some problems with like animating and then updating the animation in the future. I actually had a problem with that with the Falconer. One of her effects was actually too big. So when I exported it and it made two images for it, and I just put them in, and I tried to update the animation for the effect, it actually led to some bugs, and I had to spend a lot more time than I needed to fixing that. So I just always have this at max. And yeah, this is it, yeah. Okay, so export. Cool, there we go. I'll just have it zoomed in, and then I'm gonna go put this into a mod, and you guys can see it. Okay, let me just set that mod up. He's a really simple animation, but that's fine. He is a simplistic character, so it's not that bad. If this was like an elite, like a more elite mob, then I'd probably spend a lot more time trying to refine everything. But he's not, so it's fine. in right now. Gotta go download it. Okay, I think it's good. So let's go check it out. Let's check them out. Should be fun. Are you gonna add a unique animation for that character later? Which one? This one? He's got a unique animation right now. There's a lot of characters I gotta add animations for. Okay, skip the intro. Yeah, the cultist Gloryseeker, that's what we were working on, was unique animation. So, he'll have the animation we were working on. Yeah, the one we just made, the Gloryseeker, yeah. He's already got his unique animation. Here we go. I think the only thing that bugs me is this arm. Yeah, the Sunken City testing mods, yep. That's what they were. Yeah, so this is the type of situation that would occur, is that she would whip him, and then he would stab for plus 45 damage and then kill someone. So you have to be careful about that. Oh, some Nightbot smited you. It's rain cloud, sorry about that. Is it lagging? Looks good on my end. I think hold on. I'm gonna do a real quick change and change this arm because I kinda don't like that actually. So let's go change that. Oh, I offset it. Whoops. Okay. Well, I gotta go change it. Change it up. Okay, so now I'm gonna export this one and test it out. Sad face. Oh, you did PogChamp? I gotcha. Okay. Actually, okay, let's go do that one now. I just want to make sure that I'm happy with it before I leave the stream. I don't want to be unhappy with it. But it was looking okay. Just that arm. That's literally the only thing that was bothering me with it, was the arm. Okay, time to go re-download it. Okay, and now it's downloading. Sewer scum. Stop spamming emotes. Warning. I guess that's the default. I didn't actually type anything in for the warning. It calls people sewer scum. That's pretty mean. Nightbot's pretty mean, dude. Okay, let's go back in. Okay. So it's still installed. It is. So let's go in. See what Mr. Brawler looks like. Nightbot broke your heart. Nightbot's a killer, dude. So, okay. I probably got a text. I should probably check that. Might be from the thing I gotta do tonight. Oh, okay, I gotcha, yeah. Oh, okay. Let's see how he looks. How's he look, guys? Nightbot wants to inflict stress, yeah. I actually don't like the arm movement still. It's this part that's bothering me now. I got time, I can change it again. Let's do another change. This is something that probably happens a lot more often than it should. Like off stream when I'm doing a lot of the animations, I do a lot of this where I like load it into the game and then test it and then if I don't like it I change it again. Happens a lot. I gotta copy that over. Okay. Now kill it, yeah. I don't think I could kill it with level 0 Reynold and Dismas. He's way too tanky for that. Okay, so I'm gonna export this one and hope that I actually like it. I have a hard cap of 620 is when I have to leave, so I gotta do this quick. But I think this will be the final version. You never know how good the animation is until you actually see it in game. Okay, dragging it in. This is a surprising amount of my modding process actually. Is I do like really little changes, and I see them in game, and I see little things I don't like, and I start doing like little tweaks, and that actually takes up a lot more time than you think it would. There it is. Hey, can you almost kill the heart with level 0 red hook? You might be able to kill it. Subtle changes adding depth. Yep. I like how after you fix the arm, you seem to have given it extra weight to the armor. True. That's actually really true. Maybe that's the entire reason why I didn't like it in the first place, was because it wasn't really. I don't know. It's funny how you can know when something is off, but the reason for it isn't really clear. Well, hopefully it's better now. Let's see here. Yep. Okay. Hopefully it goes by quick. Let's see how he looks now. Is he gonna look like some awesome looking man? Let's see. Crap, I actually have a lot to do in 20 minutes. Okay. Yeah, so the VOD is definitely gonna be up tomorrow, not tonight. I like that, like, infinity times better than the first two iterations. How's he look, chat? He look cool? Still looks good? Cool. Okay, I'll shoot him with Grape Shot Blast, the worst ability in the game. Here we go. So there's his Aegis. So now he's a plus 45 damage with 2 blocks character. And with 95% stun, so if I land a 5%, I can stun him. No, I didn't land a 5%. So he just did 13. Bye bye, Reynold. And he buffed himself for plus 10 accuracy. Bye bye, Reynold. Okay, yeah. I did 6 damage to him. That's a lot of damage for level 0s. Stream's lagging again? Really? Oh crap, it is. Okay, well, I guess that'll have to be the end because the stream's lagging now, but hopefully you were able to see it kind of clear. Okay, so if you enjoyed any part of the stream, consider supporting me on Patreon. I have the link below the video in the description. What's next on the list anyway? Okay, so next week I'm gonna be doing like a character with a lot of meshes. They're wearing almost entirely cloth, so it's gonna be a lot of mesh work and like flowing cloth and stuff like that, which will be really interesting because that's something I feel like a lot of people are gonna have trouble with, is flowing cloth rather than straight up metal armor like this guy. Yeah. Once I get the VOD up, I'll be sure to post the link everywhere. Now it is clear. Yep, it lags only during attacks. Yeah, so I could definitely not. I'm definitely never gonna be an actual gaming stream ever because of the lag, I guess. But I can do animations properly, which is great. That's all I really wanted to do. But yeah, so that's gonna be the end of the stream, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I hope to see you all next week. Bye.